Hi there, amazing people. In the last video, we wrapped up building the repository layer. Now, in this video, we'll move up a layer to focus on the view model. We're getting closer to the final result. It's been a bit of a long journey so far, but I want to ensure we cover each step in detail. Thank you so much for your continued support. Please like and subscribe if you find this content valuable. The first thing I want us to tackle is a bit of dependency injection magic, or shorthand DI. While there are many solutions out there involving complex libraries for DI, our goal here is simple: to inject the repository that we just created in the last video into the view model via its initializer, right here. So for that, let's create a private variable here, private let journal entries repository of type journal entry repository protocol, then inject it via the view model's initializer of type journal repository, and the default value is going to be our in-memory journal entries repository. Let's delete this line. Now let's type self.journal entries repository equals journal entries repository. And that's it. Now we have access to all the methods that we created in our in-memory journal entries repository right here in our home view model. Now we can go ahead and create a save flow for a journal entry. Let's create a method here called save journal entry and leave it empty for now, because before we dive into this save, there are a few updates we need to make to the logic in our views. If we go back to our home view, the way we save data is hit this plus button, write some stuff here, change the day rating, and hit X. In the moment when the user hits the X button, our app should save the journal entry. So let's see where we declared our bottom sheet in this home view. If we hold command and click on the sheet content view, it's gonna highlight where we declared it. And here we have the add journal entry view subview. If we go into here, we can see that we have these two state private variables: day details, which is the journal content, and the rating selection, this drop-down menu right here. But we need a way to tell our home view model that these two private variables are changed in order to save them in our database. And in order to do that, we have to change the property wrapper of these two private variables. Instead of state, we need a binding. And of course, it cannot be private, and also binding here. It cannot have a default value. So let's delete this and also delete this. Now it complains in the preview of this view. So let's fix that. In the add journal entry view, click on the error and click fix. It auto-completed it for us. For day details, we can just say constant empty value. And for the rating selection, we can create a previewable state variable like we did for the detent height. So add previewable. Let's just copy this because it's really complicated to write for me. Add state var selection. The default is going to be 1 and put it here with a $sign. We have another error saying that the initializers is inaccessible due to the private protection level. So let's go up. As I said, we do not want this to be private, so everything should work fine right now. There we go. Now the code is going to complain wherever this view is being used, and that is the home view. And here in this private variable, we have this add journal entry view. If we expand the error and hit fix, hold Ctrl and M to make it go on 2 lines, we can see that exactly like in the preview in the add journal entry view, it needs day details and rating selection. And these two variables are gonna be declared in our home view model. So let's just create them. Home view model right here, add published var journal content of type string, and the default value is gonna be empty. And the rating, add published var rating of type int equals 3. Out of 5 options, we make the middle one the default one. Now let's go back to our home view. And for day details, we're gonna say $sign view model dot journal content, and for the rating selection, $sign view model dot rating. Everything should work just fine right now. There you have it, no error. So let me just explain what we just did right here. In SwiftUI, a binding is a way to create a two-way connection between a property and the view. It lets the view update the property and also react to changes in the property automatically. So we declared these variables in our view model and they are published. So whenever the home view model changes these variables, those changes are gonna reflect on our home view, and in fact are gonna reflect all the way to the add journal entry view right here. And moreover, if this view, this add journal entry view, modifies one of these variables, like for example, if the user types something here, this is a view responsible for capturing those changes. And what this binding does is it propagates these changes right into our home view, and from here right into our home view model. So basically we're gonna know if the view modifies these variables or if the home view model modifies these variables, and we're gonna have the full control over the content of that journal entry. Hope that makes sense for you. Here in the home view, just a little off-topic advice for you. If we select all these lines and hold Control and I, it's gonna format our code to be pretty and nicely aligned. So going back to our save journal entry method, we need a way to trigger it. So let's go back to our home view, and I just mentioned to you that we're gonna save the changes when the user presses the X button and dismisses this bottom sheet. So if we go here in the .sheet modifier, this part of the modifier is going to execute whenever we dismiss that bottom view. So right here, we should trigger the save method from the view model. But our save method is async, right? If we go back to our home view model, oh, we forgot to make it async, so this function should be async. There we go. So our method is async, right? And it needs to be triggered from an async place, right? And this onDismiss block of code is not async. And this is where the task modifier comes in handy. Essentially, what a .task modifier like this allows you to do is to run asynchronous code when a view appears or when something triggers it. It helps manage lifecycle aware tasks like fetching data or performing actions when the view is first shown or when something triggers that task modifier without needing extra boilerplate code. And the most important benefit is that this .task modifier in SwiftUI ensures that any asynchronous tasks it starts is automatically cancelled if the view is removed. This helps manage resources efficiently and avoids memory leaks or tasks running unnecessarily. So for this task to be triggered when we need the app to save some new data, we need an ID. This ID should be declared right here, called state private var should create new journal entry of type bool equals false. Now just put it here, should create new journal entry. We have to make a guard here. Guard should create new journal entry, else return. So we only want to execute the code in this modifier if the should create new journal entry variable is true. That being said, if we reach this point, we can just call await ViewModel.save journal entry. Now the place where this boolean is triggered should be on this block of code, that is the onDismiss from our bottom sheet. So should create new journal entry equals true. But now after the save journal entry is completed, we have to make this variable false again. So should create new journal entry boolean equals false. And the reason we do that is that we don't trigger a save every time the view is redrawn. We have to trigger a save in our database only when this boolean variable is true. Now let's go ahead and implement this save journal entry method. First thing that we want to do is make sure that the journal content is not empty before calling the save method on our database. Otherwise, we have no reason to make that call. We could use a guard for that, so guard not journal content dot is empty, else return. In this point of the code, we know for sure that the user enters something and the save operation should be valid. So in order to save a new journal entry, we can write do catch. For now, just a debug print error creating a journal entry. And let's print the error. And in the do block, we can make use of our repository that we just injected right here. So try wait journal entries repository dot create. And it needs a journal entry. Let's create that entry. So here, let's just type let journal entry equals journal entry. Post date is going to be the current date. The content is going to be the journal content. And the well-being rating is going to be this rating. Now we can just pass this variable right into our create function. So journal entry, journal entry. Okay, let's fix this. We had no label for this method. Also, apparently we have deleted this async keyword from here. So now we should be fine. There we go. One more thing that we could do is after we create this journal entry, we should fetch all the entries again to make our view update with the newest data available. So for that, just type await retrieve all journal entries. And this is a method that we don't have it yet. So let's create it. Copy this naming. Let's create a function, retrieve all journal entries. It's going to be async. Let's type let entries equals try await journal entries repository dot retrieve all. And after retrieving them, we should sort them out. Let's sorted entries equals entries dot sorted. We're gonna sort them based on the post date. So post date greater than $1 post date. Here we need a greater sign. And here we have an error because we forgot the dot. And the reason we just wrote this line is because we need the most recent journal entry to be the first in the list. So after that, just update our published variable right here. So journal entries equals sorted entries. And if an error occurred during the fetching process, we just update it with an empty array. So going back to our save, we saved it and then we fetch it all over again. Now we also need to use this retrieve all journal entries function in our home view. When users open the app, we should fetch all the data. To accomplish this, we can use the task modifier to call this function. So going back to our home view, let's create another .task modifier. And right here, just call that function. So wait ViewModel dot retrieve all journal entries. And it even works. If we select this option and go back to the live one, wait 2 seconds or 1 second or something based on the delay that we hard code in our repository, and then we can see those mock data journal entries. So now let's test if our save flow works too, right? So let's go back to our bottom sheet, trigger this, let's write something like test, change this to 5 and hit the X button, wait a bit, and there you go. We successfully trigger saved in our app. Good job to you for reaching this stage. And I just noticed the UI bug right here. So when we change from 3 out of 5 to let's say 4 out of 5, you can see that the text gets truncated. So again, from 2 out of 5 to 5 out of 5, again, the truncation happens. So let's fix that. If we go back to our sheet content view and let's find this add journal entry view and go into it. We have this text label right here for our menu. Below background, just add this modifier, fixed size. Now, if we go back to our home view and try to retest this flow, so we have 3 out of 5 and let's go to 4 out of 5, the truncation is not happening again and is looking much cleaner. Nice. Now, one more thing before wrapping up this long video, please have a bit more patience. It's gonna be worth it. If you remember from the previous videos, we had a loading spinner right here in the top bar when an asynchronous job was happening. So what we want when we hit this plus button, we type something, then we dismiss this view. We want to see that the spinner is shown up until a new entry is added to this list. And if we go back to our view model, we can see that we have this publish variable here. Don't need it. We just created this for test purposes. Let's cut it out, go back to our home view and paste it here. Of course, instead of published, let's use state private var show toolbar loading spinner. We don't need a view model here. And if we go to the task modifier where the save is happening, before making this await save journal entry call, you can say show toolbar loading spinner equals true. And after the save happened, you can make it false right here. Now let's test this behavior. We have an error. We go back to our home view model. Yeah, we should just delete this entire function. Let's go back to our home view. Again, let's try to save something. So test, hit dismiss. You see that spinner, it's saved and the spinner is gone. That's a really nice add-on for our dashboard. And apparently we missed something. If we go to our bottom sheet, you can see that the journal content text field is not empty when the user wants to add a new one. So when we dismiss this view, we should also make sure that we clear out the selection or the content that the user entered, because if not, a new save is triggered and we don't want that. So in our home view model, after saving the journal entry, we should type journal content dot remove all, and also the rating should be updated with the default one. Now let's go back to our home view, hit plus, write something here, dismiss it, the save is gonna happen. And if the user wants to save another one and hit the plus again, the content is gonna be empty and also the day rating is gonna be on the default one again. Great job. I know this video was a bit lengthy, but I wanted to make sure we implemented the necessary modifications to our code to support the retrieve and save methods with the repository in place. In future videos, we'll focus on handling update and delete operations when users want to modify data on their dashboard. Until then, happy scribbling!